Another exhibitor that is returning again this year is Dave Walsh from Dave's Chimney Repairs. Very good morning, Dave.
Morning, morning.
Dave, you come down off a roof, I'd imagine, just to come in and tell everybody and answer all people's questions about chimneys and that. But undoubtedly a busy game to be in because, yes, you can't put a chimney on a new house, but there's an awful lot of houses out there with chimneys and many, I assume, that need repair and maintenance.
Well, Ron, yeah, you can put chimneys on the new houses now. Once the chimney has a stove at the bottom of it and the stove is fitted in and sealed, you actually can put them on. A lot of people think because nowadays you can't get planning for them, but you actually can get planning for a chimney on a new house,
A lot of chimneys, though, are probably 10, 20, 30, 40 maybe years or older as well. And often while people might be doing maybe some regular maintenance on them, are people maybe a bit slow maybe at looking at the actual structure of the chimney and making sure that it's intact as well, because it can cause serious issues if not managed.
That's right, yeah. See, the problem with the chimneys is that you have heat going up through the chimney, so then you have expansion and contraction from when the fire is on and when the fire is off. The material, the blockwork and this and that, does expand and contract with the heat, and that leads to cracking then, especially with the flue liner where the heat is coming up straight up through the flue liner. That's where all the heat is, and if there's a build up of creosote and if the fire is burning slowly and there's creosote building up, what happens is there can be a fire in the chimney, and when this happens, then it gets a very high temperature and that can crack the flue liners, which is dangerous because then you can get carbon monoxide goes into the house, and that's very dangerous as well, so it's something to be kept an eye on. So if you do see cracks on the chimney, it's better off to get a CCTV survey on it, which examines the inside of the chimney and sees if there's any damage there, any cracks on the liner,
Yeah, because I suppose one crack can lead to more and lead to substantial damage as well.
Well,
If you do go in and replace the liners of a chimney now, are the materials that you use, like the liners are made of, are they different than they would have been probably in the original house?
Yeah, going back 20, 30 years ago, there was kind of a red clay liner. Well, I still use them as well, but they're kind of gone to ceramic liners now and multi-flue liners, flexi liners, and single wall steel liners and twin wall steel liners. So there's different types of chimney material you can use,
A lot of the work you do actually comes through insurance companies then. So is that kind of post, if there has been like an incident, a chimney fire or maybe a potential fire, that you're brought in then after it's assessed to actually repair it and make sure it's structurally intact for the future?
Yeah, well, most of the time my work will come from, say, people that has a house and the chimney is later leaking sand, or there's some sort of problem with the draw, or there's tar coming out of the chimney or stuff like that, so then I'd go and do the CCTV on it, and I'd see any damage that's there, whether it's build up of creosote or damage to the liner was cracked and that. And then what we'll do is, if the damage is caused by a chimney fire, then it's covered by your home insurance, because it's your home insurance is fire damage in it, so that's why the insurance covers the chimney fires. And then what we do is do a survey on it, and I bring in an assessor, and then he assesses the damage, and he'd work with the person who owns the house. He'd do all the work for them and represent them to the insurance company to make sure they get enough money to cover all the damage, because it is very expensive,
Yeah, substantial savings, I can imagine. And again, if somebody has a query, a concern there, maybe of spotting that, you said could be the sand coming down into an open fire or a range or a stove or something. When it comes then to rebuilding, if somebody had, say, a traditional open fire or maybe an older range, are people now looking at switching the appliances, maybe looking at a stove, say a fossil fuel stove or a wood burning stove? Are they looking at different alternatives when you rebuild?
Yeah, well, I see a lot of people is going for the wood chip burners, but let's say most of the chimneys we do, we just realign them to stay with the existing type of fire that you're using, whether it's the cook or open fire. But a lot of them then would be thinking when the job's being done that they could switch over to the wood chip burner, that's kind of the one that to move from, say, the cookers to go to the wood chip burner, because it's a different system and it's easier on the environment and this and that.
Yeah, some people texting in just asking about grants around pellet stoves as well, and I know it's kind of not an area you deal with, but it's probably something that on the day of the show actually put to somebody like Caroline from the Cube Centre, because it can be complex to say the least as to what grants you're available for, and it can depend on whether you've got one in the past as well. Now, listeners asked a question here, and I assume it depends on how much you've used it, but approximately how often should a chimney liner be changed? And I suppose maybe with that, what are the initial signs you can spot that maybe it's something you should start looking into?
Yeah. Well, you see, the liners is good unless it starts giving a problem. You know, if you see a problem with the liner, just get it checked out. And if the problem is bad, like if it's just a clean that has to be done, and if there's no actual crack on the liner or damage to the liner itself, it's fine. Like, you know, but if there's cracks and damage on it, then it has to be changed. But like, it is a big job, like, you know. But it's not something that you say, oh, you change that every 5 year, every 10 year. Like some chimneys, you could have them there for 30, 40, 50 years, not bothering them. But then another one, you could have a next thing due to creosote building up. If a fire and it cracks the liner, then it could be maybe 5 years, whatever. You know, there's no specific time of saying. You know what I mean? There's no such thing as a lifespan is 10 year, 20 year. It's just that it depends on the use, how much is being used, and what type
You
of fuel
probably
is being
have
used.
loads of houses around the Midlands that could have at least two flues in the one chimney, and you could have one side maybe is an open fire in a sitting room that's
Yeah.
only lit 20 times a year. The other side could be a range or a stove that's 24/7 on the go.
Yeah.
So it's important to keep an eye on both flues then and make sure that just because one might be okay, the other could be doing all the work.
Oh yeah, like usually you get the chimney swept like once a year. So in a case like that where you have the chimney side by side, you do the two of them together, like, you know, and keep an eye on both of them, because you don't know if there's something. There could be a bird's nest stuck on the other one or whatever, just to keep it clean for that way, like, you know.
It's important as well, if somebody has bought a new house, maybe to have that checked before you move in, just not to assume that the chimneys are clean and therefore safe.
Yeah, well, a lot of times when people is buying a house now, I'd get a phone call for them to the engineer want a check done on the chimneys, like, you know. So I'd go in then and do a survey on it for them, and they'd have that for their engineer before they buy the house, like, you know.
Does the type of house make a difference in terms of maybe the complexity or how long it takes to replace a chimney? So if it's an old stone farmhouse versus a 30, 40-year-old, maybe a semi-detached house in a housing scheme, like, does the type of house make your work more difficult?
Yeah, well, you know, older houses, some if you're going back to like 70 or 8 year old houses, sometimes they'd have a brick line chimney, which is a different structure. You know, it'd be a square chimney rather than a round chimney with a round flue going up through it, like, you know. And they'd be, let's say, if I ever come across, say, an old chimney with just kind of the brick one, I'd usually what we do is reline that and put a ceramic liner into it, or a flexi liner, or a clay liner. Do you know what I mean? Just to make it easier to clean, and you don't have the corners building up creosote, and it's more dangerous when you have corners like that building up creosote. You know. So,
And one listener as well, just wondering again, they said they're probably after neglecting their chimney a small bit. How many times a year should they have it cleaned? Maybe so not just looking into it, but actually having it properly cleaned.
yeah, to get it properly cleaned, say once a year, would be generally the way of going, like, you know.
And that can be a good first indication that there could be problems if you spot maybe lumps of char or even there's a bit of a liner. That's time to start taking action.
Yeah,
Then
if there's a bit of a liner, you're definitely in trouble, like, you know. So if there's a bit of a liner down in the cook or the open fire, that means you have a cracked liner. So that's a real line job, you know.
you're looking forward to the Green Home and Energy Show on the 23rd of February. What can people expect to see on your stand if they drop by you?
Yeah, well, we just show them the material we use, the different type of liners, and the different type of filling we use, and we've stoves and stuff. We do Hamco there. Just have different stoves that I do usually fit for Hamco, like, you know, and we'd have a brochure there showing the different types of stoves and the cost them and this and there, and then we'd have rods for cleaning chimneys and the general things that you use for chimneys, like, you know. And then I just give them advice. A lot of people come around and be looking for advice, so whatever the problem is, I'd have a chat with them about it.
Well, absolutely. That's what the Green Home and Energy Show is all about. You can meet those very experts and the people who are dealing with those complex parts of home renovations or home upgrades, or in the case of maybe a chimney fire, the insurance and the fallout from that as well, and about how you go and about get that loss assessed and get that repair work done, because such a crucial element of so many houses right across the Midlands. Be sure to drop by with Dave's Chimney Repairs there, and Dave himself will be there on the day.